Alrighty, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 453. This is Deadpool versus One Punch Man, Part 1. I don't know how big this series is, but it's from ER. Everyone likes watching ER. It's kind of a thing we're doing now. I don't know if it's going to be a pattern on this podcast, but we enjoyed it last time.
Let's make it.
Let's make it a pattern.
It's a good balance between the crazy crap we're going to do this week and next week, so why not? This came out...
We got to establish the Church of ER.
Yeah, we got to have a hierarchy of like insanity and insanity. There's a nice balance between Maggie May Fish and like everything else, I guess. So this came out 6 years ago, almost in April. Has almost 600,000 views, and I'm sure it's all positive and popular because it's ER. It's great stuff.
6 years ago, I kind of feel old now.
Yeah, I know. We've been watching One Punch Man and reading and watching Deadpool movies and comics for a while. So,
yeah, this video is specifically about the movie.
Oh, it is? Okay, great. So I like the movie. I like the second movie from Deadpool. They're all fun to watch. They're all goofy and silly, and you root for the underdog, which is the guy trying to just get by and save his girlfriend. That's about it. That's the whole story.
My favorite version of Deadpool 2 is the one who tries to mimic the Princess Bride.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, that one is really funny. I really like this version.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's fun to quote. It's a little weird in the comics because it's just constant weird stuff happening and the dialogue is all over the place. So it makes people that can make their own version of Deadpool in their YouTube or animation easy because all you just do is just do crazy stuff. And that's Deadpool. So like people are making the argument you can't have a deconstruction of a deconstruction or a parody of a parody. It's like, exactly, you just use Deadpool and you just do silly stuff. And he's invincible, he's regenerative.
The reason he can die in the comics is really funny too, because Thanos in the comics is a death simp. He really likes death. And because Deadpool kept seeing death, he basically made Deadpool immortal, so he can see death.
Yeah, so there's multiple reasons why Deadpool can't die, aside from his regeneration ability. There's the whole issue with death, and I don't know why Death is in love with Deadpool. I died, whatever. It's fine. I don't care. It's not important. So. Anyway, this is about... How long is this thing? Okay. It's like 24 minutes. I'm sure we'll have a great time. Let's get started.
It's getting worse. Oh my god, it escalates. You think it's just gonna stop. Is that supposed to happen? Because it's happening. Self.
I've been a real negative Nelson on this channel. Not even a glass half empty kind of guy. More like a
who drank my fucking water
kind of guy. So I've been thinking I should put out something more positive. Maybe a detailed analysis on the brilliance of Steins Gate. It's pretty good. Hell, when anime's not being pure,
undiluted sewage.
There's a lot of pretty swell stuff out there. Perhaps I could go for something non-anime related too. There are plenty of things I like, believe it or not, so I've got a veritable smorgasbord to choose from. But then I saw Deadpool. And it sucked. Well, that's not fair. The scenes with Deadpool, and I mean Deadpool, not Wade, are pretty good, but they're maybe only half of the movie.
For an origin story on Deadpool, you need a third. So a third looks like me, and then a third looks like the scarred version of Wade, who we affectionately say looks like Shrek took a shit on his shoulders. And then you have the masked version of Deadpool, and that is sort of the true embodiment of the character and the spirit. So
what the fuck are you doing?
Now, before I get called a pretentious hipster who's just hating on what's currently popular, please note that Zootopia has a 99% rating on Rotten Tomatoes as of recording this. And if you don't think I could have torn the movie being marketed to furries into so much giblets...
Get people that don't know.
So what's made Deadpool's movie so popular? Well, according to Rotten Tomatoes, fast, funny, and gleefully profane, the fourth wall-busting Deadpool subverts superhero film formula with wildly entertaining and decidedly non-family friendly results. Basically, it's an inherently childish thing being aggressively marketed to adults.
I don't want to be an adult right now.
Nah, I think the important bit to focus on is this, the subversion of the superhero film formula. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume that this tack is what's been underpinning Deadpool's box office success. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not entirely against subversion. Some postmodernist masturbation here and there can be fun. And to be perfectly honest, I think it's sorely needed for the comic book superhero film genre. Because inserting a bunch of dudes
and a token woman
wearing spandex in our current geopolitical environment and expecting us to take it seriously, I don't get it, Marvel fans. It's not Deadpool subverting the genre that I have a gripe with. It's that, as a subversion, Deadpool does just so much of it wrong. Oh yeah? Well, what else is there, huh? Can you name even one recent example of subversion of the superhero genre done well? I'm glad I asked that, because diametric to the Deadpool movie, we have the recent One Punch Man anime adaptation. Another subversion, as it were, of the superhero genre that gets just about everything right. And it's also super de-duper popular right now, so you can't call me out on pretentious hipsterdom there. Ha! But is One Punch Man really a subversion? Yes it is, and I'll illustrate why. Prick. So, some middle ground. I'll take these two genre subversions, the recent Deadpool movie and the recent One Punch Man anime, and present two anal cysts side by side, and I'll show you precisely how One Punch Man gets it right, while Deadpool is so far up its ass that there will be spoilers. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Subversion. I'm not fucking 5. I know what subversion is.
We have to be clear about its definition, since there are a lot of terms with similar sounding, almost interchangeable definitions. Simply put, subversion, in particular subversion of narrative, is a bait and switch. You play up an audience's expectations, and then Hideo Kojima the fuck out of them.
Yes.
They played us like a damn...
Take this skit from Key and Peele. We have these two sunglass wearing, smart dressing, smooth walking hitmen walking down the street in slow motion with guns in hand. The expectation that several decades of action movies have ingrained in our brains is that something badass is about to go down. And then Peele gets hit by a piano. Basic, but effective subversion. It's subversive for the purpose of comedy too, so it can also be called parody. Mind you, parody does not always have a bait and switch, so it's not always subversive. And subversion is not always comedic, so it's not always parody. Deadpool and One Punch Man are both parody, though one is quite a bit more subversive than the other. I'd be careful about throwing satire into this mix too. Satire has to do with social commentary.
See, I was about to bring up that term because those two get intermixed a lot. I would say satire is, parody is for fun. Satire is sort of like not poking fun, but sort of look, this is bad. Like, don't do that. You know, this is one way of dealing with controversy or things in media, things in the news, political issues, any other kinds of things that are bad, and going, look what's happening. This is what they do. This is the reality of the world we're in. And that's when we look at Candide by Voltaire, various other kinds of historical elements. So this has been going on for hundreds of years. It's just one way of dealing with things that you want to represent, which are bad. And it's going, this is the extreme of it, or this is the result of it. So
satire has a focus on critique. Parody has a focus on fun. Both can have each, but they focus on specific aspects.
Right. Yeah, so it's like we look at Monty Python. They have all kinds of skits. Their show, not when they were on tour, but their actual show, where some of them are just goofy, and some of them are based off reality, which are still goofy. But the jokes are either not played up as much, or there's just one joke, and it's sort of the ongoing thing. So they talk about the British government or trying to get something done in this world. You have to argue until you're blue in the face. So there's always an element of levity, and sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's kind of raunchy. But that's the great thing about British humor. They'll take those risks and run with them. All right.
And while there is some of that in both Deadpool and One Punch Man, I wouldn't call it the focus for either. Great, now that we've got that out of the way.
It's a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures.
I've never read the Deadpool comics, so none of what I'm about to say applies to the comic book Deadpool. Got that? Hell, I've never even read his Wikia page. I just took a screenshot and put it up here. The closest I've come to Deadpool is his 2013 video game, and what I gleaned from that is that Deadpool is a fourth wall breaking, schizophrenic psychopath who excessively enjoys juvenile and cruel humor and cares for precious little beyond that. He's also a superhero with accelerated regeneration powers. Well, a superhero in the sense that he wears the full body superhero tights and exists in a universe alongside a bunch of other superpowered people in superhero tights. And normally you think of superheroes as moralistic vigilantes who have taken the law into their own hands and assume the responsibility of preserving justice and such like. Nope. Deadpool's just a vigilante. Subversion. And you know what? That's just fine by me. Movie Deadpool is more or less the same as video game Deadpool minus the schizophrenia. He breaks the fourth wall, he kills people for mature audiences, and he shoots off joke after edgy joke at rapid fire speed. The reason I'm not in love with Deadpool personally is that the jokes get to be a bit much. When you throw that much material out there that fast, some of it is bound to fall flat, or even into cringe territory. But still, I'd say I liked 75% of Deadpool's jokes and senseless violence in this movie. There's a scene early on where he takes out a bunch of baddies on a bridge, and it's pretty damn excellent, other than the jokes recycled from the proof of concept short.
I bet you're wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so bad guys can't see me bleed. Let's hope these guys are wearing their brown pants.
You may be wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so bad guys can't see me bleed. This guy's got the right idea. He wore the brown pants.
And the one-liners made for the trailers.
Oh. I'm touching myself tonight.
The point is, I liked it. It was working. And then it had to royally fuck it up. Because the scene after that is a flashback. Whole flashbacks. We're gonna go over those in a bit. Anyway, in it, Deadpool's not Deadpool yet, but some mercenary punk named Wade Wilson. A psychopath with a penchant for juvenile and cruel humor and wait a minute.
This is a different kind of superhero story. To tell it right, we gotta take you back before I squeeze this ass into spandex.
So the whole being turned into an unkillable immortal with a fresh consciousness and awareness of his reality being a total fabrication had nothing to do with making Deadpool into Deadpool? He was always a violent, hyperbolic maniac? Well, okay, but what the fuck is the point in showing me his past then? You're kinda losing me here, movie, but you know what? Could be another subversion, right? Usually in superhero movies, the setup is such that when a hero receives their powers, they then gradually transform into a bona fide hero. Only in this case, Wade will receive his superpowers, and the punchline is that Deadpool's just regular old Wade with superpowers. You'd think near invincibility and fourth wall breaking would change a man. Just a little, but hey, let's give the movie the benefit of the doubt. Now, in this flashback, Wade's terrorizing a pizza delivery man named Jeremy. Why is he doing this? Because a girl named Megan says Jeremy is stalking her, and Wade is paid to deal with scumbags like him. Only, Wade's not being paid at all, and claims he's doing it because he has soft spots. So, what you're telling me, movie, is that Wade's a white knight? Not much of an anti-hero, is he?
It's me, Deadpool, Marvel anti-hero extraordinaire.
After Wade terrorizes Jeremy, he goes to a skate park to find Megan smiling and laughing with her friends like she hasn't a care in the world, which is a little weird, all things considered.
Prepare to die. I'm outside your house. I have a target on you.
Even better, one of her friends asks Wade to deal with her douche stepdad. Because hell, not like a teenage girl to be over dramatic.
Papadoo! Fucking killed my dog!
Oh my god! It was self-defense for both of us.
That doesn't make you question the validity of Megan's claim just a little bit? Wade? Moviegoers? Then there's some narration from Wade where he makes it clear that he's not a hero. He says, and I quote, "I'm just a bad guy who fucks up worse guys."
The time has come to be a fucking superhero.
I think the insinuation the movie's trying to make is that actually he's totally a hero. He's just a little bit on the unorthodox side.
Anti-hero extraordinaire.
Wade stops by his little den of criminal associates, and the bartender guy immediately starts making snide jabs along with him.
You look like the inside of other people's assholes. Meaning?
I thought the snide jabs were his thing. Well, whatever. And then Wade meets some too pretty prostitute. Escort. Who I guess is a subversion because she's not a virginal, all-around, perfect wife material love interest.
A lot of fans were actually pretty invested in the idea of Natasha with actually either or both of you guys, and now obviously she's with Bruce. What do you guys make of that?
She's a slut. Say something along that line. It's complete horror.
And then they begin exchanging witty barbs and fuck it, I'm at a loss. What's the point of yet another wisecracking psychopath in a world of wisecracking psychopaths? Okay, maybe the prostitute isn't a psychopath, but really, are hookers all that much better? No offense.
Isn't she a hooker with a heart of gold, or that sort of idea? Is that the concept?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. It wasn't that.
Fun fact: the actress is Brazilian.
It wasn't that big a deal. I was like, whatever. Just the love interest. It's like, okay.
It didn't make that much of a deal about it. It's just like Wade is just really into her.
That's it.
Now you guys need to pay attention to the photo in the video.
Oh, whatever.
Well, it worked out some. Holy hell.
Anyway, let's keep going.
So the prostitute and Wade fall in love in record timing. Then Wade is diagnosed with terminal cancer. And so with nothing to lose, I mean, he's dating a prostitute, not exactly living it up, he accepts an experimental treatment from some dude named Francis to cure him. It instead gives him accelerated regeneration in the likeness of Freddy Krueger. Wade dresses up like Deathstroke, even though he's not a superhero, doesn't want to be one, and isn't in denial about not being one despite living in a universe that openly flaunts superheroes.
What the fuck?
And he spends the rest of the movie hunting down Francis, who kidnaps the whore for some reason that I'm not really sure about. It's not the smartest move, in fact it's downright idiotic, but maybe that's a subversion of the smart supervillain? But they all do this stupid shit. Maybe it's to subvert the damsel in distress trope? Somehow? Nope.
Played a lot of roles. Damsel in distress ain't one of them. Played a lot of roles. Damsel in distress ain't one of them.
Not very progressive shit, lord.
And she's a strong female character and really.
What separates Deadpool from his other? It's not his cavalier attitude. It's not his humor. It's not his powers. It's not his psychopathy. Is there anything that makes Deadpool stand out other than his shapely buttocks? He does have his fourth wall breaking, but no part of the plot is reliant on it at all. It's the right...
The thing with psychopathy and Deadpool is a bit difficult. He's mainly insane because he knows this is all not real.
Yeah, that's the problem with any kind of insane character, the villain or otherwise. It's just whatever he wants to do makes sense because it doesn't make sense. You have no idea why. And it's like, all right.
But it is the special case of he knows he's living in a simulation.
Yeah, that is a little unique.
This world
You're
is
right.
not real.
Yeah, it's sort of like, hey, I can just pause time and talk to the audience and have an aside that lasts, 2 minutes. And you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big question. When you
ER's
know.
point here, though, is that they don't really do anything with it except for use it for narration, basically.
Well, you wouldn't
Or
want
just jokes.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to make that a plot element. That would just be ridiculous. Like, can you imagine?
No. They use it. They use it is more on the Princess Bride version for Deadpool 2.
That's fine, but you can you imagine having a fourth wall break or an aside where he's going to change the plot on a dime. You're like, whoa, okay, maybe.
Well, an example of a fourth wall breaking that they could do that's not just narration could be like he shoots in the direction of the camera, but instead of like a normal movie where it would go past, he accidentally shoots the camera guy.
Yeah, but that's still for jokes. It's not plot related.
That would be for joke. The plot would be another fourth wall break.
He's not saying it has to be plot related. He's just
Well,
saying
he did say that.
solely used for narration.
Yeah, I know, but it's like if you were going to use it for the plot, which you mentioned, it was like I want to know how that would work because that would ruin things. Because the story should at least have some validity to the hero, like what he's trying to save the girl. He's like, hey, not only do I want to save the girl, I want some Doritos. Let me just go get some Doritos, right? And it's like, whoa, what? No, you can't. You have to go save the girl. Where are you going?
No, I thought this is more about...
Maybe he could find out that he's going to lose at the end, so he holds the director hostage and makes them make him win.
Yeah, like that would just ruin everything because there's no validity. It's just, oh, Deadpool's changing the rules of the game now, and
it's more than that, because you have to work from the premise of he is aware this entire existence, this entire reality is not real. It is a fantasy. It is of no consequence, and thus that brings us into morality issues.
Sure.
For Deadpool knows none of these people are real.
Right, and he's
not real.
He could be,
and that leads to the question of, well, how much is any life here worth?
Right.
So I can just stick around because fuck it.
Exactly. He would be a parody. Well, I wouldn't say a parody, but he's aware of being a parody character. So there's this existential moment where he's like, yeah, this doesn't really matter. I'm going to wait for the next exposition line from the character who walks in this door right now. Boom, then someone walks in the door. It's like, okay, yeah, this is what the movie's about. It would not be taken seriously. The plot is just whatever at that point.
I think the game uses a lot.
This is the difference between him and Darkseid in DC. Darkseid is also aware that he is in a comic book world.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
He's a very complicated character. If you look into that, it takes a while to wrap your head around it, because you have the same Darkseid in every iteration, every different universe of the DC universe. It's always the same. It's always an avatar of the real him.
Yeah.
So that is the consistent. He's the consistent element that connects it all, and he's aware. This is not. This is all not real. And he, contrary to Deadpool, Darkseid is pissed at that and wants to get out and gain control over more, because that's what his character is. Deadpool, on the other hand, is, wait, this isn't real. Let's fuck around, have fun, because what else am I gonna do?
Yeah.
And that then raises the question of how when he kills people, how evil is it, or psychopathic is it, when he is aware that these people aren't even real?
Or
because for that you have to also consider, well, how do I look at this? Do I look at this as it's not real in the first place, like when we play video games? Then we have no problem killing all these enemies in video games because we know they're not real. So that is a view that Deadpool can adopt. Or he could, and he seems to switch between that with the girlfriend, because he takes the girlfriend as seriously and worthy of saving. So he doesn't turn entirely nihilistic, where he acknowledges that, well, within the confines of this world, you are real. The only odd thing is that he switches between those depending on whether he cares about people or not.
And they don't seem...
I think Free Guy talks about that concept, not in a superficial manner, of course, because it is a action comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would take on a new nuance for him to make jokes about the existential element, because he's still trying to be funny. He's still trying to have a little levity with the dialogue and the plot. So if he was like, oh, the next scene will happen like this, so I shouldn't be too concerned, or I'm sure a plot reveal will pop up and we'll figure out what to do, like stuff like he knows what's expected in a comic book story, and he's just playing his role. He's aware of his role, but he still takes it as if this is my life, this is my existence anyway. I'm just aware of the nature of it. Like that would be his way of adapting, so he's not always crazy. Because in the comics, he's just nuts. Like everything is random and crazy and nuts.
Yeah, the fact that he knows he doesn't exist, basically making him insane.
With the writer who happens to be writing him at the time, will just play whatever joke, or write a line or a song lyric, or have him make 1,000 pancakes, whatever. It's just like, okay, I guess he's doing something weird now, for the sake of it. So there has to be more to it than just I'm a mad crazy dude, because that get just randomly boring quickly, like very fast. You sit there, okay, now he's flying a unicorn. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. So there has to be something in grounded in reality. And they sort of explain that with the what gem does he have again? I can't remember what gem to teleport around. But is it one of the Infinity Gems?
I don't think he heard that he have one of the Infinity Stones.
I'm trying to remember what it's called.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's a continuity stone. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Anyway.
Yeah, we can keep going.
Writers going, LOL, look, we're parodying comic book movies, and having Deadpool wink unapologetically at the camera.
And please don't make the super suit green or animated.
Wow. I know, right?
You know what would have been cool? If Deadpool had used the fourth wall to his advantage, maybe by shoving the camera in a goon's face or rewinding the movie to give his past self an edge. But no, Deadpool doesn't use the fourth wall. He'll talk to it, he'll nudge it, he'll acknowledge he's in a stupid comic book movie, but that's it. When you get down to it, he's just narrating, which tons of movies have their protagonists do already. For example, who am I? Maybe Deadpool stands out with his comedic apathy, because, as Ryan Reynolds says,
that he takes nothing seriously.
Man, are you serial?
Which is fine, because I'm about to praise One Punch Man Saitama for being quite similar. Except Deadpool's about Deadpool tirelessly hunting down this Francis guy to get his whore and pretty face back. So he's taking things kind of seriously. So which is it? Does Deadpool want to inefficiently accomplish his goals as a goofy goober, yeah? Or does he not actually give a shit about his goals that consume him to the point of becoming Deadpool?
I didn't ask to be super, and I'm no hero. But when you find out your worst enemy is after your best girl, the time has come to be a fuck.
And if Deadpool doesn't really give a shit, why doesn't he give a shit? Has his life as a mercenary taken its toll on him? Because neither the cancer nor the facial scarring seem to noticeably affect his personality or mannerisms, but they give him the drive and ambition to gun for Francis? Huh? It's like they've taken a recurring character from some parody skit and given him his own movie, and lo and behold, it turns out to be a painfully overextended parody skit. You're looking into this too much, man. Just sit back and enjoy the movie for what it is. Well, what is it? Is it really a subversion in the first place? Is a basic origin story followed by saving the girl from a mortal enemy subverting superhero film formula? Is a character who regularly cracks sarcastic and crude jokes subverting superhero protagonists? Is R-rated over-the-top violence subverting PG-13 over-the-top violence? Guys, I hate to say it, but you were just hoodwinked into watching 2008's The Incredible Hulk. Don't believe me? Just watch. In Deadpool, a new backstory is established where Wade Wilson becomes Deadpool as an unwitting pawn in a not-the-military scheme to reinvigorate the super soldier program through some fucking serum. On the run, at a moderate pace, he attempts to cure himself of unbangability before he is captured by Colossus, but his worst fears are realized when power-hungry twat Francis is a similar but better-looking creature.
It's a little bit more complicated than that.
Okay, honestly, you can do this with almost any story, so it doesn't prove anything. You might have noticed the synopsis doesn't even mention the whore, but that's because she's about as relevant to the plot as this chick was in The Incredible Hulk.
I don't want to...
No. She is... That is the plot. You have to go save the girl. That's the point of the plot for Deadpool. The actual character isn't that important, yes, but she's the focus of what Wade's trying to do. So, anyway.
She is the objective.
Yeah.
This geeky franchise, it's greasy fans, and it's sexist premise any more of my precious time.
So the big question I have to reiterate is this. Is Deadpool really a subversion? The answer, I think, is yes. It is, as a matter of fact. Just poorly done. It's your typical superhero film setup with typical superhero tropes, but the amped up vulgarity makes it different from your usual fare. This has the potential to subvert expectations, but Deadpool is essentially the Marvel equivalent of an edgy Sonic the Hedgehog OC character, and because he's written slightly better than a 13-year-old can manage, audiences will eat him up. It's lazy, it's not clever, it's not praiseworthy, but it's extremely marketable.
When you have a character that breaks the fourth wall and addresses the audience directly, the possibilities for a film are obviously limitless, but so is the marketing.
To illustrate fully how Deadpool gets it wrong,
I honestly wish that Reynolds had the balls to do Deadpool justice and really go overboard as he is in the comics.
That's
but like supposedly like the entire movie was like his idea, that like he was the hardest at pushing for it.
Yeah, he had to,
because like he was really pissed off from the Wolverine representation of Deadpool.
Yeah, that's
so he was really like asking the executives that like please give him a chance to make a movie.
Yeah,
I'm glad that he did it. I'm glad that it's better done than previous Deadpool iterations that were just shown and just basically shitting on the character.
Wasn't there only
using
one
the name
before
rather?
the Deadpool movie?
And
It was Wolverine Origins.
One little redeeming thing of this one is in the post-credit scene that he destroys the Green Lantern movie and the Wolverine Origins Deadpool.
Well, one of the main jokes I remember in the story were because it was such a small budget and they couldn't get like the full set of like the School of Get the Youngsters scene fleshed out, or actors more than the two that they got. Like
yes.
Yeah, so they had to work with what they were given, and they couldn't do too much with the story. And if you want to do like zany, crazy stuff, and
which is the second one,
They
had
could have
more.
done in the second one.
Yeah, I think they had more freedom there.
Because they saw, this is a huge success. Let's go further in this direction. Instead, the second Deadpool movie took steps backwards and went further to generic corporate MCU bullshit movie that is blunt and boring.
The Princess Bride one is pretty funny. I will say that. When Disney bought Fox, they made it this version.
Yeah, but like Deadpool 2 I felt like it didn't get as good as the first one.
It was
I
less
felt like
Deadpool
the first one was lighting in the ball, and they desperately tried to recreate it, but they just couldn't really make a sequel. The entire premise of the movie was stupid.
I remember,
but of course, like when you take it that like it was just silly, I do have to say that like the post-credits scene was like the best part of the movie for me.
Oh really?
Yeah.
The trailer was almost false advertising to a point, because they were promising all these heroes and all these things, and you get to see them. They try out to be a hero, and they're ready to go, and they jump out of the plane and they die. And you're like, oh.
I did like that part.
Oh really? I was let down. I was like, oh.
I did like that. You can't pull that type of subversive scene off all the time. Once in a while, it can be really good, and I thought that was that.
They ruined Terry Crews. They used him for like 5 seconds, and he's dead. You're like, okay.
Yeah, it's all right. But I can understand why. I do understand why the studios were apprehensive about doing an R-rated MCU movie, because they're retarded. But I would have hoped that after the success of this movie, that they would have given more leeway to go into the direction of actual Deadpool in the second movie, instead of backpedaling.
You mean like a story with death and the stone he's carrying, or how he gets the stone and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, just do actual Deadpool and not less Deadpool.
Oh, okay.
Problem is
not just make quippy, look at camera, make quippy joke. No, actual Deadpool who does fourth wall breaking power shit.
Thing is once Marvel got bought by Disney, they've played it extremely safe with the movies.
Look at fucking Spaceballs did more fourth wall breaking than Deadpool.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Marvel, you're pathetic.
I do remember
Disney, you're pathetic.
Deadpool was Fox, and when Deadpool 2 was finished, then Disney bought Fox. Actually, after Deadpool 2 was finished, Disney bought Fox.
Stop being pathetic.
Which
Give
is
us some
now
boring
Star.
action hero movies.
Now you have to ask Star to make the Deadpool movie.
Okay.
show you how it's done right. And this is where One Punch Man to a manga made into an anime. I'll be discussing only the anime adaptation, just as I've only discussed the film adaptation of Deadpool and not his comic series. One Punch Man is about a guy named Saitama, who is a hero, but not because of any higher calling. He considers it only a hobby. He doesn't call himself One Punch Man, or even have a superhero name picked out for himself. In his world, he's a completely average nobody, but in actuality, he's the most powerful being in existence. So powerful, in fact, that he can't help but take out monsters and the like in a single punch, and he can't stand it. And how did Saitama even get his power?
腕立て伏せ100回上体起こし100回スクワット100回そしてランニング10キロこれを毎日やる
Through minimal effort. Well, actually, this is a subversion of Japanese tropes, because if you haven't noticed, there are very few mainstream Western superheroes who've developed their powers through hard, unrelenting work. They just got them through some freak accident, or were given some serum, or were born with them, or they were the fucking chosen one. God damn, we take escapism way too far over here that we can't even let our fictional heroes work for it.
You're damn right.
But anyway, Saitama is the exact opposite of a lot of Japanese Super Sentai and shonen characters. Unlike protagonists such as Goku, Saitama never needs to evolve his power level or abilities, and he will never face an opponent who poses a threat to himself. And unlike a Western superhero like Spider-Man, his great power comes with so little responsibility it's laughable. Saitama can be said to be the closest to Superman, where he has all the power he could ever need. The big difference being, however, that he has no weaknesses whatsoever. There is no kryptonite for One Punch Man. In a way, Saitama is also like a 13-year-old's own character Do Not Steal, one that nobody can beat because his smarmy creator said so.
My robot hits yours with swarmers! I counter with a wave pulse!
Invaders, that's a funny show.
But unlike Deadpool, this is the joke. One Punch Man is well aware of what Saitama is. He ain't there to crack jokes about which X-Men timeline he's in or to try to punch other heroes in their titanium.
Okay, so all he's saying is that Saitama is aware of his powers, which is fine. I mean, it would be stupid if he wasn't. And Deadpool doesn't do anything with it. He's just like, I know this is thing. I'm going to crack a joke. But that's the nature of Deadpool. He's supposed to crack jokes. He's supposed to be goofy and funny and random.
The thing is, Deadpool is not using his powers in the movie.
Yeah, the thing is, the show, One Punch Man knows who Saitama is. The movie doesn't really, is not really aware that who Deadpool is. Because Deadpool has a lot of powers.
Yeah, I know that, but you
the
can't...
Deadpool movie does not utilize Deadpool.
If you start...
It's a sham.
If you start playing around with the plot, you're going to lose a lot of audience members. They're going to be like, wait a second, what is he doing?
We don't need to go that far in the first place.
Yeah,
you just need to make
this is the bloody Deadpool origin movie. He can the half of the movie can be about him coming to terms with the fact that he is not living in actual reality. And we see him go crazy and eventually just stop caring.
That sounds like...
Plus, the Deadpool character doesn't really require the audience to take them seriously anyway.
Yeah, but that just sounds like you want a plot that's existential as opposed to a plot that's just him going after a girlfriend.
You can do the girlfriend thing after all. Like, that's the big conclusion. He embraces his insanity and saves the girl that way.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so you want more depth to the actual...
These things are not mutually exclusive. You just need to care about writing them.
Right. You just want more depth to the actual character of his ability, which is fourth wall breaking. And
I want him to be the actual character and not some paper cutout.
Well,
yeah,
that has the name plastered on it as here's the official stamp. So now you have to accept this is the actual product. It's not the actual product. I'm buying a kilogram of ice cream, then I open the box and it's like this. 90% of it has already been taken out by the manufacturer.
Well, wait a second. The nature of Deadpool is supposed to be random and wild and goofy, and yes, to talk directly to the audience in the comic, but it's there are certain limitations. You can't just do anything, or else it's pointless.
I'm not saying that.
No, I'm not saying that's the case, but as a writer for live action and I'm guessing Ryan wrote some of the script, if not most of it, because
Deadpool is the hot shots of the MCU.
Well,
so do a hot
not,
shot. Do the hot shots of the MCU.
not really, because he was on the X-Men, from the X-Men universe from Fox.
I'm trying to give an example of how you can do this. If you want your MCU to play it completely straight, then you can't have Deadpool anywhere in it, whether X-Men or the Avengers stuff.
Right, that's why the scenes with Colossus work so well, because he's this ridiculously upfront guy who's straightforward.
Yeah, but then if you don't want to have that in your MCU, then don't do Deadpool. If you want to do Deadpool.
That's, I mean, the character.
MCU. Why are we talking about MCU? Like this was before the MCU.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, mixing that up, and in the end, it's all the same hogwash anyway.
It's really hard to define the character because of his fourth wall breaking, because it's all a joke / parody / whatever he wants it to be. So, yes, it's a bit watered down, and I understand that because it has to be, done within the context of a movie. You can't just have him CGIing everything and he's suddenly in another world and doing crazy stuff. At the same time, you can't get too philosophical and weird and creepy, and
you don't need to. People understood the bloody Matrix. You can have a little bit of existential crisis because you realize, oh wait, this is not real. You can do that. It's not too much. Like how retarded do you think audiences are?
Well, pretty stuff.
It's pissing me off. All of these fucking movies act as if we're retarded.
Hey,
calm down.
I'm saying there is a large hurdle to overcome if the focus of the narrative is fourth wall breaking. It's very...
Get a good writer.
No, it's not that easy. I'm telling you right now.
Yes, get a good writer.
That doesn't...
we have a difficult thing to write. Maybe you should get a good writer.
I understand, but like Matrix has like a point of like how much fourth wall breaking there is.
With the Matrix, the first movie, yes. It was...
If you like try to make a one-on-one adaptation, like closest to a one-on-one adaptation, where like Deadpool is just as goofy as he was in the comic books, I think like most audiences would get tired. It would be a bit niche for them,
right?
Because most of them are normies, and like they were going for like how much more money can we get, and the first one is like excellent for that.
Yeah, with the one,
I guess when they were testing the scripts, okay, which one is going to stick? That wasn't it, unfortunately. I liked Deadpool much more in the video game because he was more like that, but like it just doesn't stick with people.
Yeah,
best version is Marvel vs. Capcom version. It's really funny there.
Well, with the point of the Matrix movies, the first one had Neo become this godlike character right at the end, and that's sort of the climax of the film. So you don't, once that's done, like the film is over. You can't have him flying around and doing stuff. Then in the second film, they say, what was really popular? Philosophy, existentialism, the spoon is not really there or whatever. And he's flying around doing, it's like, oh, okay, this could work. And it didn't. It just kept falling flat. There was amazing action scenes, but then that's all the Matrix becomes. It's just a series of CGI scenes with action and wire rigging, and if that's all it is, then yeah, you're going to have a fun blockbuster, but it's going to be pretty boring. But they tried the philosophical angle, and it didn't work. And the third one was just a cut of the second one. If you know the history of how they made that film, it was basically just two movies, and they cut the second one in half and made the third film.
What second movie?
There was two movies. There's the Matrix 1 and the Matrix 2. And then...
What are you talking about?
The Matrix.
Yeah, that's a movie, yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. There's only one movie. There's no.
What I'm saying is that's a great example of trying to focus on what worked and it didn't. And you're going to even have a harder time, I think, with fourth wall writing, because how does this connect? You're doing comedy essentially. You're doing comedy timing with a plot underlying that, and then you're breaking that plot. And you're going, hey, I'm going to go hunt some chickens. You're like, what? Okay. And then he comes back and he's grilling chickens for everyone. And you're like, okay, what about saving
the you don't need to go full 110% adaptation. That's
Well, then what do you do? What do you do? Like, where's the balance?
But you seem to make a black and white argument that you can't do it at all.
It's very hard.
That either you have to be so wacky that nobody understands it,
no.
you can't do it at all.
You have to know
what you seem to be.
You have to know how to.
How does it pass through the Fox executives? Like they are normies.
Yeah,
like, how do you sell something that's like fourth wall breaking and you want them to give you $100 million?
If you write a comedy fourth wall breaking scene every 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever the frequency is, the executives are going to go like, "What the heck is happening here? How do we do that?" That's another CGI scene. Yeah, and I'm sure that the cost for CGI is not a huge issue, but they're still going to have to justify every single scene. And
they already forced in like so much backstory stuff because like Ryan Reynolds was right. Like 1/3 is like him as a human, and then the other one is like him being scarred, and the rest is just Deadpool. That's only like 1/3 of the movie is Deadpool, and everything else is that. And that was probably like a decision by the executives that like, we can't really relate to this character. He's just so wacky and stuff. We need an explanation for him. Like, probably that's like what ran through their mind. Like
that is
just
them looking at the script.
That's how I see it.
And thinking the audience is really dumb. How are they going to? If I can't understand this, the audience can't get.
Yeah,
this.
but if you start with the premise that the audience is really dumb, you will never make a good movie.
No. This is writing.
It's like I'm currently going through watching Asterix movies with friends, and I'm looking for the English versions of them, of course. And what I figured is the American dubs that like for Operation Mania. There's a British dub, and then there's an extra American dub. And the American dub, not just for that one, is atrocious. Because they added a narrator to and even in Asterix in Britain, they added lines that aren't there to explain what's going on the screen. Because the Americans seem to think that already their children are so retarded that they cannot understand what's going on the screen. Like when the Roman fleet is approaching the coast of Britain, and it's just the normal thing is just show don't tell, but no, not in the American version. There has to be an extra line where a character says that is off screen that they're approaching the coast right now. It is, and if you translate this, and the Americans do this on every level, not just on that. In Operation Mania, they added an entire narrator that isn't there, not in the British version, not in the French, not in the German version, because it is a rather quiet movie. It still has its jokes, it still has its puns, but they are rather subtle. In the American version, they add a narrator that just makes everything retardedly stupid, while it is a rather serious movie. And American cinema keeps doing this. It operates, it seems to operate, whether for translations, as for making movies and series, on the premise that the audience is brain damaged. And if you go by that, if that is your premise, your foundation of making something, or even translating something into your culture, then you only create turds. You cannot create a great movie with that premise in mind. That is why the Joker movie was pretty good, because it did not operate on the premise that the audience is retarded.
There's certain skills with drama that are easier to show and not just use dialogue, because we know what drama is. We know when someone's trying and failing. And you don't need to talk. You have to explain that. It's shown like he's trying to do something. People are beating him up or whatever. So there are things that you understand because that's the nature of the film. You're trying to be a dramatic story, or a narrative rather. With Deadpool, there's so many directions you can go, and unless you're doing a parody of Ferris Bueller, for example, it's like, oh, Ferris, I get that reference, right? That doesn't mean everyone has to get the reference. But someone has to get what's going on there, at least on a basic comedic level or dramatic level or whatever. So drama and comedy can work. Comedy's a lot harder of the two. And if you don't have that plot to connect the two with drama or logic or something, it's just a series of events where the goofy, somewhat serious, kind of melancholic, existentialist hero has moments of relapse of what am I doing? Why am I not hunting chickens? What time of day is it in Istanbul? Like, all these other random things that could be happening. So you have to really, focus the narrative as well as we say with Sanderson's concept of magic, to limit the powers. And I'm glad they kind of did that, because if he was teleporting all over the place, that'd be crazy. He could just teleport into a room and save the day, and you're done, and we're finished. So not to say you can't.
You don't need to go at full level in the first movies, where he just learns to understand that he can even do this, because he understood how this universe even works,
right,
and what this universe even is,
right. That
is how he then, in the end, saves the girl with this sudden accepting. Okay, this is all bullshit. I still care about that girl, and I'm just going to take her out of that scene. Fuck you. Fuck everyone. And that is a subversive way of solving that problem in a anticlimactic way.
But that was probably...
And Marvel, all of Hollywood in general, seems to despise making a movie without a big explosion.
Well, okay,
without a big fight.
Let's slow down here.
And that Deadpool could do that.
No.
Do that in the end.
I think it was mostly Reynolds and his team of writers who came up with the jokes, because he's ultimately trying to be funny. And with what's his name, the bartender fellow, he's also a comedian. So they're trying to play off each other.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't even think we're talking about the same thing here.
No, it's the characters in the story. They helped write the jokes. They can't just. The jokes
that's not what I've been talking about. I've been talking on another level of this whole conversation.
It's all about comedy.
Yeah, but it doesn't really seem like you and Whisp are talking about the same thing at all.
No,
exactly.
It's drama and comedy and fourth wall breaking. We've always been talking about that.
Yeah, but you're acting like Whisp is saying there doesn't need to be a plot, but Whisp is saying there can be a plot. He's just saying to do it differently.
Yeah, but that's like,
I'm talking about a completely different movie that doesn't exist, but that should replace this movie.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
I'm not talking about improving this movie. I'm talking about making a Deadpool movie from the ground up.
Yeah, but then you're saying, okay, if Ryan Reynolds had $100 more million and hired a writer.
Yes, I'm talking about the fictitious scenario where Ryan Reynolds would have had the option to make a Deadpool movie in his image, truer to the source, and not just a generic superhero movie in one of these universes that is just a tiny bit more edgy. Because that's all what he was allowed. I'm talking about how would you do a proper Deadpool movie that still works and that is rewatchable on top of that.
And trying to find
that is a high goal,
the comedy for that.
Goal.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But my claim is that it is not impossible. It's just very hard.
Out of all the things to do, I would say that's one of the more difficult things. Especially
yes, but I don't shy away from the challenge.
Okay, then go write a script. I'll be happy to read it.
I don't think we should shy away from the challenge, because if we're going to talk about the challenge of the movie, the Last Jedi would be a hard movie to write right. But we should still expect writers to write them right.
That's
a problem, because that's the counter argument. The Last Jedi had all the freedoms it could have had when it shouldn't. It's the opposite problem.
Yeah, the exact opposite problem. The guy with all the resources and time and money, and he does everything his own way. No one questions
everything the wrong way, and he did it deliberately.
Yeah.
And that is why I do not accept such arguments as, but the executives wouldn't have liked it.
That's
not an argument.
That's
not an argument when we're talking about the basis of film, of how a good film should be. Because the executives have no clue of what makes a good film.
Well, when you're talking,
they also have no clue of what is marketable.
Like if they want to fund it or not.
Yeah, well, that's again 1/8 of the many hurdles you have to jump through to accomplish a parody fourth wall breaking story. These are hard things to do. That's why writers don't do them.
Not impossible.
Yeah, but I would rather just have a funny Deadpool story, which does do a little bit of fourth wall breaking and focuses on what he's trying to accomplish in the story.
I would have, and contrary to you, I would like to see a well-made movie that was up to the challenge. and entertains me that way in being astonishingly well made, and not just some drivel that entertains me for an hour and a half or two. Because that's forgettable. I want something I can remember fondly and think that was great. And maybe I'll only rewatch it in 5 to 10 years, but I will want to rewatch it. While I have no intention to rewatch this, because this is too bland.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't care.
Okay, we're almost done. Let's keep
Why
going.
are you here?
Balls.
I'm here to have fun.
Well, not intentionally. He's there as a parody of the unbeatable superhero, whose very existence trivializes the existence of other heroes and the monsters they fight. Better yet, One Punch Man goes out of its way to distinguish Saitama from the rest of its cast. His entire design, even, is predicated on this. It comes across a little better in the adapted manga, but it's clear to see here that Saitama's design is overly simplified and deliberately lacking detail. When he's not about to wreck your shit, that is. Also add to the fact that he's bald and the only character to wear a cape, combined with the goofy coveralls. One Punch Man's cast is incredibly varied, but even among them, Saitama stands out as unmistakably different from the rest, unlike Deadpool. Saitama's character and personality, too, is separate from his surroundings. He is a man who embodies an existential crisis. As a kid, Saitama wanted to be a hero, basically just to take out opponents in a single punch. But when he gets exactly what he wished for as an adult, it drives him to mind-crippling apathy. What's the point of taking out bad guys if all it takes is a single punch? How boring is that? One Punch Man illustrates Saitama's dilemma pretty perfectly throughout the first episode in scenes like when a giant mutant flattens everything outside of a supermarket he's in. But as shoppers are fleeing in panic over the monster's tremors, Saitama barely even notices because he's more concerned with giving the cashier exact change. Or when Saitama is walking home and a car monster pops up and crushes the eggs he just bought. Eggs over rice will have to do. Killing monsters has become as mundane and routine as everyday errands. There's just nothing to get him pumped up anymore. And despite his effectiveness, Saitama notes that the evils of the world show no signs of stopping either. Nothing he does seems to make an impact, and as a result, Saitama has become mostly detached from his emotions. In exchange for power, maybe I've lost something that's essential for a human being? He asks himself. There is no one with Saitama's personality, no one who suffers as he does, and no one with the power he has. He is terminally an outlier. What he does share with other characters is one thing: the desire to be a hero. The others may have slightly different reasons as to why they want to be heroes, whether for power, status, or being a total G, but the desire is rampant throughout the show. Yet even here, Saitama is different. He's only a hero as a hobby, and it's a hobby he's bored of. I mean, he dumps a monster on top of a city, crushing it, and leaves to buy eggs. Hell, there's even an episode where the bad guys are a bunch of Bernie Sanders supporters, and Saitama lets their leader get off free because he feels they're alike and that he could have easily ended up as a jobless NEET himself. Yet despite all of this, everyone who learns of Saitama's true overpowered nature practically idolizes him. Genos, a cyborg arguably much more human than Saitama, worships the ground Saitama walks on. Bang, a wizened martial arts master and one of the most powerful men alive, realizes almost immediately that Saitama outranks him enough that he can't even begin to compare. You could argue that they only respect him for his overwhelming power, but remember, the joke here is that he only got that power through minimal effort. Saitama's a decent guy, but he's no Moomin Rider. Saitama is nobody to look up to as a person, but subversively, several powerful characters end up looking up to him as the hero. Overall, Saitama works because he is just broken and doesn't belong.
Well, no, the idea behind Saitama is he purely wants to help people the same way Moomin Rider also wants. They both have the same mentality, whereas one is just obscenely powerful, and the other one's just a nice guy trying to be a hero with a bike.
Yeah, like Saitama became Moomin Rider's help
kind of bored
and
too.
encourage him.
Yeah,
I think if Saitama just wanted to help people, he wouldn't be the way he is. I think the main factor is that he was doing it for fun. The fact that he's not having fun helping people.
I can't see a person running
He's not
10K.
having fun helping people because there is never a challenge. It is boring. It is just it's just tedious. It's like walking around through a video game and just doing the most boring, repetitive daily quest ever.
I don't.
There is no satisfaction in that.
I don't think doing
at a certain point
10K runs every day and 100 push-ups is not that much.
That doesn't have anything to do with this.
Well, no. That was.
And I agree with ER here that
No,
Saitama works because he is broken in his concept, in his design.
Well, no, he said
that's what.
He said it was.
That's why he is interesting.
He said it was minimal effort. I'm like, well, 10K run is every day is not minimal effort. That's crazy.
It's minimal effort for him.
Not
because he's an indestructible god.
Not before that. Before he was just a guy. And if you're running 10K every day and you're doing a work routine and you don't rest,
he already was indestructible when he was fighting the crab monster. He just didn't know it.
I don't think so. He was bleeding.
He was thrown into buildings.
He was bleeding and hurting. And
yeah, he was actually kind of broken when he won the crab monster. But
still after being thrown into buildings.
Yeah, what I mean is that it was something he was unaware of that just happened. And when he figured that out, I don't know. If it was gradual, we don't know. So yeah, it's not that relevant, but I don't think it was minimal effort. Like he literally was trying to be the hero. And he still wants to be a hero. And now, because he's so bored, he's like, yeah, I do it for fun, but it's not really fun anymore. So
I think it's minimal effort in terms of what we normally see. Because normally what we see is like, I'm doing 500 push-ups in 5 times Earth's gravity in this fucking hyperbolic time chamber for 80 years in 5 seconds.
Right. So the whole point is that he doesn't know how he got so strong. And that's even a comment by Genos. He's like, he doesn't even know how strong he is or how he got there. So, but his heart, his desire to be a hero hasn't changed. He's just not having fun with it. He's not enjoying himself. That's it. That's why I love the contrast between him and the other heroes like Moomin Rider, because Moomin Rider is like exactly the same mentality, only he's just a guy with a bike.
This is good parody. You need an outsider constantly poking at the absurdities of what is otherwise considered normalcy. Exaggeration for comical effect is only as good as its backdrop. If everything is exaggerated, nothing is. But if only a handful of things are exaggerated relative to others, those things stand out all the more brilliantly.
I would say pretty much everything in the One Punch Man universe is exaggerated. All the heroes, their designs, their powers. And then you get
but they are
exaggerated
in
different ways, and Saitama is
Saitama is a minimalist. Is the minimalist way, and the others are full-on shonen heroes.
And you need,
but really exaggerated.
Yeah, and you need those monsters to be abominable and gigantic and super powerful.
It's not about those. He's talking about the jokes.
The jokes
in the Deadpool movie, every character has quippy lines. That makes Deadpool or Ryan Reynolds' character in general not stand out that much.
That's probably true.
In One Punch Man, all the characters are different, more down to earth, and that makes the crazy action stand out more. That makes Saitama stand out more.
And also, everyone takes things seriously. Saitama doesn't. He stands out because of that.
Well, was the taxi driver guy. He's a pretty down to earth sort of fellow. He wants to be like Deadpool.
What, the Indian guy?
Yeah, the Indian guy. He's not quippy. He's just a guy.
He's his own version of comedic. Every character in the Deadpool movie is comedic,
except the villains, who are kind of scary and serious. So I think you would want to have other characters that can talk to Ryan Reynolds or Deadpool in either a funnier tone and attack him in that way. You wouldn't want to have like everyone just be good personalities or normal personalities, because
it's not about personality. It's that
Sure
everyone is quipping jokes.
That's fine.
When the one that should stand out in quipping jokes is Ryan Reynolds' character.
I don't see why that's necessary.
Yeah, because
he's the funny character.
Yeah, but what's wrong with having...
I can see what Whisp is trying to say is that to do a contrast in the world, the other character should be serious, and he should be the joke guy.
Usually,
yes, doesn't Colossus?
It's like in Spider-Man.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Colossus does that. He's a contrast.
He's a very hard
He's
contrast.
kind of a
Also,
he's
but
kind
he's
of a
funny
comic.
character. He has very the jokes that he makes are very flat. It's very different kind of humor. Yes, that stands out. It's still comedic. It's a contrasting comedy, but it is one. And
I have actually noticed that about the movie. A lot of people really like Colossus, and I think that's part of the reason why is he stands out because he's so straight faced.
Yeah, and all the other characters, they just meld into this shock of the same kind of humor. And that's why I want to bring up Spider-Man as a contrast. Spider-Man is the character that makes quippy jokes for various reasons. If every character in the Spider-Man universe was making the same types of jokes, Spider-Man would not stand out anymore. And what we've seen in No Way Home was that, and as well as in Far From Home, is that all the other characters get lines that should be Spider-Man's lines, while he has kind of nothing.
See, I see that just as a form of conflict, whether it's comedic or has a sarcastic tone, or someone makes a cruder joke. I'm fine with that because that's the character of that character. That's how they act. That's how they talk. And to have a guy like like this guy on screen, the bartender, who can just dish it out as much as Deadpool can, but not be Deadpool, is a fine contrast because he's his friend.
That's not a contrast.
Sure it is. He's not Deadpool. He's trying to help him in his own way, and they're attacking each other because they're making quips about his face. And
yeah, but they both have a really similar personality.
Yeah, and his girlfriend does the same.
That's
she makes
fine.
quippy jokes all the time as well.
It doesn't have to be like completely different or slightly different. There's enough differences in these characters that you can tell them apart. It's fine. They don't have to be the focus.
The problem is that they are all of the same ilk.
That is the same argument for a writer writing multiple characters. It all sounds like the same. It all feels like the same character.
No, that's just a bad writer.
That's what happens. When you read a book,
no,
like
a
Tom
bad
Clancy,
writer is unable to write characters in different ways.
Yeah, but that's.
The thing is if I picked any random line from this movie, could you tell me what character said it?
With more than one sentence, sure, probably.
No, just one sentence. You
should be able to go with one sentence.
Yeah,
it depends. You need the context of the scene. If you just read the actual script, it's like, okay, I don't know who that is.
I agree that it can depend on the line. If the line's not really like a big line where personality goes, then yeah. But if it's a line where personality is going, you should be able to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we took the jokes that all the characters make, all the accusatory things, and you didn't have the names of who said it.
Like, for example, if
maybe the exception of your face looks like the inside of an asshole. That is the context we can easily derive from. That it was probably not Deadpool who said that, because it's relatively memorable. However, if we remove that, things like this, and they're probably rather rare, and we just go by the quippy lines in the movie, and you had to guess which character said it, you would probably be more wrong than you think.
I mean, I could probably do it with Dragon Age Origins, probably. Like, pick an Alistair line. You could probably guess it was him who said it because of the way he says it, because of the way he talks. Same with Morgan, or Winnie, or any of the other party members.
It's basically what was the fictional character from Red Letter Media? Mr.
Plinkett.
Mr. Plinkett. And the Plinkett test.
What's the Plinkett?
That he did with personalities of the Star Wars prequel characters.
Oh, describe
what can you tell me about the character?
Describe a person without saying their name or their job or something like that.
Yeah, and this is without what they look like, and this is the variation of that in regards of the jokes. Like,
yeah, but why do
they all have the exact same sense of humor?
But I know when Anakin's talking because he just slaughtered a bunch of people, and I know when Padme is talking because she's a senator from.
Oh, you didn't understand what I said again. This is the adaptation of the Plinkett test.
What is
this?
What is the test?
Would be who said what line in this movie in regards to quippy jokes.
Okay, yeah. They have a line of dialogue. I take away the actor. I take away the name in the script. I read the sentence. So I'm basing it off the knowledge of my memory.
The character's personality.
Yeah, my
not
memory.
Not memory, but
Obviously, it's based off
which
memory.
Which character could have said this line?
Yeah, and my memory of the scene, and say, okay, what's her name? Doesn't care what Deadpool looks like because she loves him, so she wouldn't, joke about his face or care about that, so it wouldn't bother him. The other
now,
lady,
I'm gonna say,
no, she has no problem shitting on him.
I'm going to interject a little bit and say, sometimes there's gonna be some lines that could have been said by maybe one or two characters. Like, for example, Morgan and Alistair are both very similarly snarky in Dragon Age Origins. So there's definitely a few lines that you could see being said by either one of them. But they still have a different enough personality where some of their lines will definitely stand out as being from them.
but that's based off the topic. So you could have Alistair. Both Alistair and Morgan are kind of innocent in certain regards, whereas Morgan's a bit more domineering and Alistair's a bit more timid and jovial. Sure. But we could say the same thing about, what's her face? Miss Cinnamon Bun. What the hell's her name?
Winnie?
Not Win. No, she's like the old lady who's just wise.
Liliana?
Liliana. There we go. Liliana. She has a few quips here and there, but she has her accent. Like, when we think of characters, we think of the sound of their voice, how it comes across, the timbre in their voice. That's, to me, a character. And then what they say is based off the situation they're in. And unless there's like a certain language term or a word they use that's unique to them, like the taint or magic, it's obviously the magic guy talking about magic, or birds when we talk about.
That's just topical.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Alistair and Morgan,
not character.
Alistair and Morgan will both talk about magic, but they'll both talk about it differently. Alistair will be very suspicious of magic, and Morgan will be very free about it.
Exactly. So that is what we remember about their attitudes and opinions regarding topics. If you don't have that, you just have a person with a certain voice.
But our problem is we're not really seeing that in the Deadpool movie. We're not seeing characters really have a personality that we could differentiate from another person in the movie.
Yeah, I guess to a degree. Yeah, they're not as fleshed out as they could be, for sure. Yeah.
They're not as fleshed out, and they're not very different from each other.
Yeah.
That
I
is
like
the
Tyler
tone.
Preston's comment in the chat for that. You can tell a character apart from the original Power Rangers rather than with the cast of Deadpool.
Really? I don't know Power Rangers too well, but okay.
Well, it's also an appeal to they're just different colored uniformed people in the Power Rangers suits.
I thought outside the suits, not with the suits. In the suits.
Well,
they're
outside the suits is even more obvious.
But it's usually, well, Red's usually the leader type, usually more hot-headed than the others. Blue's kind of the
Blue, the second in command.
yeah, and he's usually the reliable guy. Pink
Green is the thoughtful guy. Green is the thoughtful and methodical one.
Really?
Yellow is the
Asian.
aggressive and more inquisitive interactions. Pink is the support, the emotional support.
What's black?
Black, it could be the knowledgeable one, and because sometimes the Black Ranger is the mentor, and white, it could depend. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad.
Okay. Anyway, we've got less than 2 minutes. We're good to go. Oh, we got less than 1 minute, actually.
Other end of the spectrum, Deadpool's exaggeration is mostly superficial, but it's present almost everywhere. Deadpool doesn't stand out from the rest. Everybody's a snarky wisecracker like he is, except Colossus. The heroes all dress up in ridiculous spandex outfits like Deadpool does, and they're all as competent as Deadpool since the bad guys are mostly cannon fodder with useless guns. The writers even go out of their way to make sure Deadpool is not the most apathetic character in the lineup, what with Negasonic Teenage Warhead's moodiness.
Oh no, finish your tweet. That's fine. Just give us a second.
He breaks the fourth wall, sure, which no other character does, but again, it's only to narrate. Even Saitama will do that.
力と引き換えに
人として大切な何かを失ってしまったのだろうか。
In terms of outliers, it's actually Colossus who stands out the most in Deadpool. And surprise, surprise, he was instantly my favorite character. Noble and heroic in a setting boiling over with superpowered psychos, he even looked and sounded different from the rest. His interactions with Deadpool are the best the movie has to offer too, because they're just so damn different and funny. If the whole movie had been about their dynamic, a la Tiger and Bunny, well, you wouldn't be hearing a peep out of me right now, because I'd probably love this movie and would have nothing to whine incessantly about. But no, Deadpool was never looking to subvert expectations that intelligently. I just want to mention, the violence in One Punch Man? Way more gory than anything we see in Deadpool. It's not subversively violent either. This is just Japs being Japs. Fucking yellow freaks.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only 2 parts, by the way.
Maybe? Yeah, he did make a second
Power-hungry twat.
Yeah, he did make a second one.
one. Yeah.
Why?
He did make the second one.
Yeah, it's a bit longer.
Yeah, it was in the recommendations at the end.
Give me something to pause on. Come on. YouTube. Oh, God.
So it's not all.
There we go. Alrighty.
What a wonderful picture to pause.
Fantastic. All right. Do you have any memes today? We only have one. That's great. Fantastic. Okay. Cyberfrog. Okay, cool. Did you know director Tim Miller's original plan for Deadpool 2 had Vanessa in a bigger role? She would have taken on her superhero alter ego Copycat from the comics instead of dying in the first few minutes. Oh.
I would have rather watched that movie.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, killing off all those heroes, or just in general, just introducing them to kill them off like a minute later is just like, oh, that's not funny. That was sad.
Didn't a stunt double die in the making of Deadpool 2?
I don't remember. I probably
think it was
did.
Dominoes, right?
I thought it was the Wonder Woman movie. Which one was it? Someone was injured, I know, in one of them at least. Was it Batwoman that
No, I think it was Deadpool 2. I think it was Domino, because there was a scene where she was on a motorcycle or something. Something happened during the filming.
Oh. All right.
Yes, a stunt driver died on Deadpool 2's set.
Wow.
Well, rest in peace. Hope he's in a better place.
Alrighty. Well, that was not bad. I like ER. He has good takes on stuff and lots of fast cuts. Not bad.
Good jokes, too.
Yeah, the jokes are good. not as funny as the last one we covered, but that was
yeah, the Watchmen one was his peak comedy.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
This was like young ER. He was just beginning to
6 years ago.
This was before he a Hoge flipped.
Okay. Well, we were gonna do. Was it yesterday some sort of cooking thing with Jack? And I was like, oh god.
No,
yeah, we wanted to cover Yahtzee video.
Yeah, it was Vito for Yahtzee's video.
It was another Yahtzee video. Okay. All right.
Yes, about open worlds.
Oh.
I agree that doing the Jack videos after his stroke is kind of shitty.
Yeah. Plus, the topic was a dry rub, and I'm like, what is better, a dry rub or a wet rub? And I'm like, what? Like, what? Those are two different things. Like, why would you have a comparison?
I skipped ahead. I looked at the chicken. It was pink.
Oh.
The entire chicken
was not even
fried, and
it's not even
inside.
fried.
Did he cover it in chicken? Like, what did he? Or did he cover it in ketchup? Like, what did he do? Why is it?
He didn't like marinate, but like he cut up the chicken, and it was just pink from blood.
Oh.
Big Jack was his salad video.
No.
Oh.
No more.
No more.
All right. Well,
no more
I
salad.
had enough of those.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. So thank you guys for tuning in. That was different for an ER video. Always fun to see what he
Did
thinks.
we do stream memes?
Yeah, we just did one. There's only one, and we just did.
There was only one.
Yeah.
Everybody was captivated by the video.
Yeah, it was a good video. So thank you for the suggestion, guys. Keep them coming as always. Don't know what we're doing next time, but we'll find out who votes on what and what we have time for. I'm busy this week.
I think it's probably Yatz's video.
Yeah. Okay. I'm fine with Yahtzee. I don't mind him that much. So have yourself a great evening. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.